Okay, hey everyone. Welcome to our session about best practices for bringing Figma designs into Bolt. I'm Avishay, CEO here at Anima, and we partnered with Bolt to allow them to bring any Figma link into Bolt and then keep on vibe coding on top of your professional design. So with that intro, we can jump to it. And our agenda today is we'll go through the basics of bringing Figma designs into Bolt. It's very basic. You take a Figma link and you paste it there. Then we'll speak about best practices. One of the most important stuff is the hierarchy. Then after you're done with that, auto layout will allow you to have a responsive and dynamic design that adjusts to content and screen size. Then we'll show some tricks about auto layout and how to have both dynamic content and floating items. And see how we handle vector groups if we have complicated visuals, but then we need it to be very high end on the code side of things and not complicated. And then flattening images, and then we'll see some tricks on how to use it on Bolt. All right, zooming out, we're gonna start with a landing page, and let's start with the basics. So the way I'm taking this screen into Bolt from Figma is I right-click, copy-paste as, copy link to selection. Then I go to Bolt.new, paste it here, or click the button, it's the same, and click Go. What I'm going to get is my design one-to-one as the Figma, and I can keep on vibing from here. And the cool stuff is that what looks like a button will turn into a button. What looks like a text input will turn into an actual text input. And then we can keep on vibing here. And if I want to connect this form to a backend, I can use the Bolt integrations and connect it to Supabase. And let's go back to Figma and start talking about what are the best practices in order to bring this design in the best way that your agent will be able to work with it, and the screen size will also adjust as you change it. All right. First, we mentioned the hierarchy. So here I can see when I hover stuff, I can see that we grouped everything into sections. This is very helpful because then later on when we do the auto layout, we know what works with what. We know that this section shouldn't overlap this one. On the contrary, it should push it when it changes its height and when the content is dynamically loading here. So it's very straightforward and very it should make sense. Like these all items should go together. This is one section, and the header as well. And inside of it, it's nested. So if I double click here, I will see that this is another group and this is another group. And same goes here. These cards are each one on their own, etc. So that's for hierarchy. And then in Figma, I can do two things in terms of hierarchy, or three even. One, I could create a group of elements. Let's say this is a group of elements, but this is not a group. It has a frame that wraps it. And when I select elements and I want to make them a single element, I can right-click and create a group or a frame. And in this case, it makes more sense to have a frame because a group size is determined by its content, and it's always fitting the elements inside of it. On the other hand, a frame would have its own background color. It can have a different height from the height of its contents. And when it comes to auto layout, it can even have margins like we see here. The content of it will have 50 pixel margins from the right and from the left, and then 20 pixels top and bottom, and everything in between will spread horizontally. So let's, the third one would be creating components. And if you're an expert at Figma, please do use components. It means that you will have less code duplications and the code will be smarter, and the agent will have easier work working on that code and bringing it to life. So here we won't dive into components. It's more advanced stuff, but we'll speak about frames and groups and auto layout. So I'm gonna start with this frame. You know what? First, let's jump and see. I have this design that has auto layout, and I can see because when I stretch it, the content adjusts. Some stretch, some is centered, some is spread. If you see the top bar, right? And this one that doesn't have auto layout, when I spread it, when I stretch it, nothing happens. Okay. By the way, the way I did it, and if you have a messy auto layout, you can actually click here, and then you can do remove all auto layout, and this is what I did to get this version. So this version does not have auto layout. If I bring it into Vault, I will get. Let's see first the responsive one. If I zoom out here, again, like in Sketch, some elements will stretch, some will spread, and it will behave the same way. If I bring the other one with no auto layout into Vault, I can zoom out and see that the content will be centered because we understand that you didn't add any auto layout, so we assume that the content should at least be centered and not aligned to the left, but it is less responsive and less nice in terms of dynamic layout. Back to Figma, the way we got here is by adding auto layout to those elements. We said we first want to have all the sections in frames or groups, and then we will start adding auto layout. So auto layout, it's very basic, and we can see it here. Some elements are have auto layout, and they are basically a vertical layout of elements one after the other. Some are horizontal ones, like this one, and this is it. Like it's columns and rows. That's what it is. Let's take this one, for example. Here I don't have auto layout, and the way I add auto layout to this one, you know what? Let's start from the root. I'm gonna add to this one. I can click here, use auto layout. Since everything is already organized, I don't see any impact. If let's do undo, but if this was overlapping a bit and I would click auto layout, yeah, it would create a mess. So it's better if you already have your items lined up, top to bottom or left to right. And then when I click auto layout, they will keep that order. And first I see that elements started stretching, but then the content inside of it doesn't have auto layout, so we can fix that as well. Let's start with the top bar. Let's see what happens now. All right. We can see that the top bar automatically decided to fill its container horizontally. Then we can decide that this element also has auto layout. All right. And automatically it understood that it needs to stretch, which is great to spread elements. Okay, that behaves well, but it could also do something like this. All elements are aligned to the left, or all elements are aligned to the right, or centered, right? In this case, we want them to spread, and the way I do it is I double tap on the center and it will spread. All right, let's see what's next. Let's do a few more, and then jump to the next item. Okay, so that worked well. And I guess for this one, we don't want them to spread because it wouldn't be as nice. Maybe we want them centered. Let's see. So we'll do that. And yeah, all right. Another cool thing about auto layout, after I did that, I can replace the place of the elements, and it's nicer. It wouldn't make a mess, right? Let's see, any special thing here? No, let's just iterate those fields. So we spoke about the direction of the auto layout, vertical or horizontal. I wouldn't go into grid yet. It's more advanced. We could say that the width is filling the container. In this case, it's great. Height will hug the contents, meaning that it will have padding from top and bottom of 20 pixels, then right and left 50, but then it wouldn't have its own fixed height. If I do want it to have a fixed height, I can just stretch it, and the height wouldn't be hugging, it will be fixed. All right. Let's undo here. Let's see what else. Clip content is mostly when you want elements to be, let's say I have a visual graphic element here, like a rectangle or a circle, and it shouldn't overlap other layers. I would clip content, and everything that goes outside of the frame wouldn't show. Yeah, I can click on that and see all the paddings from all the sides. And then this is the spacing between elements. So because this is spreading, this is automatically set. Let's see here. Yeah, here. Oh, this doesn't actually have auto layout. It doesn't matter because we centered the content, but let's add auto layout. And then we see that between each item, there's 157 pixels. We can do it 100. And then it's nicer to play it that way. All right, I think we're done with the basics of auto layout. Let's see. The next thing we wanted to discuss is floating items. So let's say I have all this set up, and everything has auto layout. By the way, just to emphasize about dynamic content, here I don't have auto layout, so things will overlap. But in this element, in this group, I did have auto layout. So when the content changes, and it could be changing screen size, but also the content could come from the server and from your Supabase content. You want the layout to adjust. All right, let's talk about floating items. So let's bring a spaceship here. Take this one, bring it. All right, this is annoying, right? I want it to be floating in the header. It's not in the right place. Let's put it here for a second, and we want to enlarge it. If you're a novice to Figma, K is scale. So I'm using K and clicking Shift to scale and maintain proportions. Then I want to bring it into the header, but I want it floating and not like in between. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this one in the position, ignore auto layout, and it's going to fly. All right, let's put it in the back. Send to back. Let's put it here. And then let's make it faster. Let's just take this section here. Let's bring it into Bolt. I copy the link to this frame. Then I'm gonna go to Bolt. I'm gonna paste here, click go, reload. And then another important reason to group everything and have elements in the right hierarchy is that sometimes we want to have actions. We want to say we want these cards to load from Supabase, and it should load such and such item from the database. We want to be able to select this element, and we want only this one to comply with our request to Bolt. So this is what I wanted to show here, but if it won't load in time, then maybe we skip on that. Yeah, it's loading. All right, what else? We spoke about hierarchy. We spoke about floating items. Oh, all right. Yeah, sometimes the assets don't load on the first shot. I just refreshed for that. And then, okay, let's give it a second to kick in, and then let's talk for a minute about vector groups. Here in Figma, I want to be able to play with the spaceship and do stuff like this. or edit the vectors, etc. But in code, I don't care that I have like 8, 9, 6, 7 vectors in this spaceship. All I need is one image of that spaceship. So Anima will actually understand that if you have a group that only has vectors, we will flatten that into an image. Let's see. Okay, let me zoom out a bit. And let's see. Yeah, this is a single element, an image, and then we can say something like make the spaceship fly around. Yeah, and both will understand what I need. So back to, well, it's working. Back here, we want to put vectors in groups. So Anima will understand that it's actually a single image and would flatten that. If that didn't happen, you can try using flatten, although it wouldn't necessarily preserve all the different styling for different vectors because it makes it all a single vector. Or you can do, let's say that this visual has many elements and we want it in the code as a single image. So one way to go about it, let's do it here so we have more space, is to actually copy it as image, copy as PNG. I would simply go here and paste it, put it on the same hierarchy, and let's hide this one. And then I got a single image, I will get the same in code. All right, let's jump back here. Okay, this is cute. Wasn't the animation I planned for, but that's on me. I just gave it random, like a very high level um, specs here. So I need to say have it hover around, stuff like that. Okay, but that's cute. So let's zoom out. We spoke about the basics, the correct hierarchy, grouping elements in the right order, auto layout, then the basics of it, floating items like we did here. We wanted it to ignore the auto layout in some cases. We spoke about vector groups and flattening images. And then I wanted to show you another quick example before we wrap. By the way, if you have questions, feel free to shoot them over in the chat. We'll get it. And all right, this is a more advanced example of a SaaS application, not necessarily a landing page. Just want to emphasize here we did sections, but in a dashboard like this, it's not sections. We have a menu that is grouped, a sidebar, and then the content, and then we have a task list and a section, and everything needs to be either grouped or framed in the right order. And grouping it serves multiple purposes. First, we saw that it adjusts better to dynamic content. Second, it makes the agent work easier because it makes more sense to the LLM. And third, it actually gives Anima hints, like we saw that we understand how to take multiple vectors, turn them into a single image. Or in this case, this whole group looks like a search input. And again, in Figma, we have a text layer and a search icon and a rectangle with border, but in reality, we will have a search component. So once we actually group it in the right way, we can go here and see what Anima brought to Figma. And this is an actual text input. It's not a rectangle with an icon and a text input. It's actually a single component. So this is actually hinting Anima and the agent how to handle things, and that this should be a single element, or the button should be a single element, and same here. And again, this was a drawing in Figma a minute ago, and Anima understood that it should be a menu item and a button and a text input, and these are all great hints for both agent, and it can go smarter about your designs. Just to emphasize what you can do, I did another cute example. Again, here I grouped those tasks as I framed them as have them as a single frame, so I can address them specifically, and the section as well. So then I wanted to make it work, so I used both inspector. I selected this or this, and I told it that I want to be able to use the checkbox so it works. And then I told it I want it to be able to drag. So I reorder elements like tasks inside a section, and I can go on and select like the section and say, when I click the section header, collapse it and stuff like that. And all those buttons were groups or frames in Figma turned into actual buttons. And yeah, now it's on to you guys to go and build. And the hackathon is really exciting. You still have like almost 2 weeks to build. I also recommend going to the Figma community because there are so many designs and let's say redesigns of Asana or redesigns of dashboards or SaaS applications that you can take. And the community there is amazing. You can use that, paste it into Bolt, and go from there, or play around inside Figma before you do, and like make it yours. And before we wrap, let's see if there are any questions from the crowd. Okay, so anyway, if you have questions, you can comment on the post and we'll follow up there. And yeah, good luck on the hackathon and let us know how it goes. Like share what you are building. Let's go. Good luck.